Welcome to the NNBN Podcast, talking with businesses, charities and organisations across Northamptonshire.
Sponsored by Poppy Design Studio. Find us at poppydesignstudio.com.
So we're going to be talking about digital marketing, and great to be joined by Silvia Coletto, who's comes to talk to us all about digital marketing today and what she does around digital marketing. So Silvia, welcome.
Hi Simon. Thank you so much for having me. A pleasure to be here.
No, absolutely no problem at all. It's great to be able to speak to you and learn about what you do. So we talk about your business. We'll be talking about, how you got into this as well, because I think that's always interesting about, how you found your way into what you do today. But let's hear from you first. Do you want to give us an introduction to yourself and what your business does and what you do for clients?
Yes. So I am a paid advertising specialist. So I do what is commonly referred to digital advertising. So Google ads, Facebook ads, all the social side of it, TikTok, Amazon ads, app downloads, but really the most common type of advertising that I do is still Google. So Google ads are roughly 70 to 75% of what I do. I've been doing this since 2016, so it's been a while. I've specialized in paid advertising after another 2 or 3 years in more general marketing. So offline, creating campaigns for quarterly campaigns, like campaigns that needed printing done, banners or sashes, flags, all sorts of leaflets. Then I went into social media management, so all the organic side, the actual content. And then from there, I had an opportunity to support the team at the time in the paid advertising department. And that's where I've stayed, basically. So now I do this for a company, Adido, based in Bournemouth. But at the same time, I also have my own business. So I have consultancy on the side. It's still paid advertising. I still do the same job. But in my own business, it's very much consultancy driven. And it also allows for this type of specialist knowledge to be more affordable to small and medium businesses, which usually are priced out of this type of knowledge because it tends to be quite expensive.
And that's important that you recognise small businesses do have a need for this, and you've managed to help support them, because without digital marketing, they're kind of left behind, really, aren't they? So well done on doing that, because I think it's key. And when you were talking there, though, you were talking about some of the various platforms that you're working with. You mentioned Google. We all know Google, but the TikTok advertising, is this where you go onto TikTok and people can actually see advertising coming through on feeds and things?
Mm-hmm. Yes, but that side is at the moment a bit challenging, not because of the platform itself is challenging, but because the type of content that works on TikTok is completely different to the content that works in advertising on other platforms, at least at this specific moment in time. Now, the content is more geared towards influencers that are promoting stuff based on their experience, like, for example, all these content creators that are given products to test and to review. So it's not a sterile type of advertising, not a corporate feeling kind of advertising. Is very down to earth. It's very... It's simple in a way, but it's more personal. So if businesses don't have that type of approach and are not able to create that kind of content, then I cannot promote that content to the right people. So more than ever, TikTok is a platform that requires a lot of content creation from the company in order then to make it work.
And what about Amazon? Because I was really intrigued when you mentioned about Amazon advertising. I've not come across this before. So what does that mean when you talk about Amazon advertising?
Yes, so Amazon works in a way where you have an Amazon storefront, so you are selling products on Amazon, but there are some products that can be sponsored. So when you scroll through Amazon and you've searched for example, last thing that I've searched for was actually, funnily enough, scissors. So not really the most fancy thing, but in the search results, you're going to see that there are some products that have got the sponsored banner next to them. So these ones have been pushed to the top of the results, paying for that. And that is what Amazon advertising does. It's a way to highlight and basically skip the queue and try to push that product in a way that sometimes bypasses all the SEO work that you have to do to make the product searchable. Now, this is not my focus as such, purely because historically, I've never had the majority of my accounts to be e-commerce. I'm more on the B2B / business to consumer side, not really e-com, but that is something that is quite interesting, at least for me, and it's definitely an area where I'm looking forward to learn more and to work more on.
And how have you seen the industry changing since 2016? Because it's been 9 years now since you first came into this industry.
Yes.
How have you seen it all changing with developments? And obviously it's got, we've seen digital marketing increasing over the years, haven't we? But how's it all changed?
It's mental. It's absolutely mental. First of all, because change comes very quickly and you can never stay still. Your knowledge you can't stop reading about stuff and testing new stuff, because otherwise you become obsolete quite quickly. But also the way the platforms themselves have changed, the way the advertising works, the options that you had before that now have been discontinued, the change as being an almost, I would say a 180. Like it is completely different than it used to be. Not so much 180 as a U-turn, because some of the changes are for the better, but the setup itself is completely different. Not to mention the word that everybody is using right now, and a word that I absolutely do not like, that I have to use, which is AI. There are lots of campaigns in Google at the moment that use AI. Google is pushing towards AI. Same thing is Meta. So all the various Instagram ads, Facebook ads, they are also pushing for it. Basically, these platforms are saying to me, provide some ad copy, provide some images, and let me do the rest, which I strongly disagree with, because the platform does not know the business better than the business. And the platform is designed to try to get you to spend more money on them. But it does not have the knowledge about the business, and it also doesn't have the knowledge of what happens behind the scenes in the business. Because especially if you're not an e-commerce business, the fact that somebody inquires with you doesn't mean that they're going to buy. So straight away there is a disconnect. They don't know what the quality of the inquiry is. They don't know how many inquiries turn into a sale. They don't know what profit are you making. So allowing these platforms to just run with it's just, I think it's disingenuous. And I think that people that are saying, well, this job is obsolete now because AI can do it, I'm really sorry to tell them that that's not the case, and you can't let AI do it. because it's not going to do the job properly. It will get you to a point, but you cannot replace a human being with 10 years of experience or 15 or 20 with AI. It's just not going to happen.
We've had a similar conversation recently with a graphic designer who's saying a very similar sort of thing, that AI can get you to a certain point for ideas, or it can get you to a certain level, but ultimately you can't beat human experience of, what if this happened? How did you get around this? And what did you learn from a previous client or previous work you've done? So I think it's great to raise it with AI, and certainly I was going to come on to this question actually, so you beat me to it, but it's
give you an example.
Important. Yeah, please.
I can give you an example. So picture this. This is a travel business. They sell cruises. Okay, cruises, river cruises. Fantastic river cruises in Europe. There is a campaign in Google, a campaign type, the AI campaign type, that is called Performance Max. Performance Max is the typical, give us some ad copy, give us some images and or videos, and let us do the rest. So you can give us an indication of the types of audiences that you want, but anyway, we're going to do what we want. So that is the premise. Google has been pushing Performance Max like crazy because it is extremely profitable for them. And it works most of the time if you're an e-commerce business, because you can have a shopping feed. And that is the main way that people push products through Google, and that is fair enough. But for businesses like this, where there is no physical e-com product on site, and the majority of the sales go through phone calls, we have a huge problem, because we are saying to the platform, we're saying to Performance Max, I want you to get me as many phone calls as you can. But the problem is that we can track how many people click on the phone number, but we can't really tell how many of those actually turned into a legit sales call, and how many of those sales calls have turned into an actual purchase. This is happening offline, and then the business needs to take that data, and we have to do something quite complex to then re-import it back into Google so that Google can see what's happening. But at the moment, the campaign does not know that. So what is happening is that the campaign is learning bad habits, because it's chasing phone calls. It keeps chasing more phone calls, but we keep not knowing how many of those phone calls have actually turned into a real opportunity. So these phone calls are getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper just from a pure cost on the platform point of view. But because that doesn't take into account what's happening behind the scenes, the learned habit is that the campaign has now learned that you can keep chasing cheaper and cheaper calls, but nothing comes out the other end. So that is a concrete example of why leaving AI to it is not a great idea, because looking at the account, fantastic numbers. Those numbers are not real. It's the sales and everything that is done behind the scenes in the back end of the business that then paints the real picture. And we have to find a way to import the data back so that Google can learn really what is happening, instead of chasing a number that does not translate into reality.
It's really interesting what you were just saying there. Really interesting, because it can't track referrals either, can it? When you buy from somebody and then you recommend them to somebody else, it's never going to track that either. So I think that's a really, really good point you just raised there. And it's great to hear a real life case study where it's not worked. Because there's a lot of fear around AI and it's going to replace jobs. But I think AI is, I think it's a really good tool to be able to use, but it's there as an addition and not a replacement. And I think that's why we've got to see it, isn't it? So certainly, I mean, I use it for various things, idea generation, or maybe look for a formula for a spreadsheet. But when it comes to actually, digital marketing or content creation, no, it's not got that place as far as I'm concerned. So
I use it for note taking.
yeah, why not? I mean, it's there to help. So
yeah, it's fantastic. So Gemini, Google Gemini, records my Google Meet meetings. Especially, it's useful a lot when I do training or consultancy, because we can talk about lots and lots of different things in the hour, in the 90 minutes that I do consultancy, because that's the nature of the job. Like, you get on a call, like you ask more questions, and then you ask more questions, and then you're off a tangent, and then you come back. And if you are so focused on writing notes about everything that you're saying, you're not fully in the conversation. But with Gemini, not only gets me the transcript, the full transcript, but also gives me a summary of the transcript. And can I tell you, it's doing 20 times a better job than what I would have been doing with the notes. They're perfect. Honestly, I probably delete 2 or 3 words in every summary, and the summary is like 2 pages long, and it comes with a list of action points at the bottom that can be ticked, and everything is then shared with the other person. So it is honestly note taking, summarizing stuff, and sharing documents with it. If you got an 80-page, 90-page, 100-page document, I can't be reading all of this, I don't have the time. Then, hey, can you please summarize this for me? Sure. And then it gives you 10 pages. Oh, sure, I can read 10 pages, but maybe 100, it was a little bit too much. So, yeah, there are certain perks, but not when creativity is concerned, as far as I see it.
And I agree. I totally agree. And I know we've sidetracked slightly away from what you do, and we're talking about AI
it's okay.
now. But
all right.
But I saw Notebook LM recently has released something where you can upload a PDF document, and it creates a podcast of 2 people talking about that content. So
wow.
it's incredible. And for busy people that don't get the chance to actually read some documents, they could listen to it while they're driving or whatever. So this AI stuff has a place in the world as far as I'm concerned, but it shouldn't be a replacement. But let's get back to talking about what you do. Obviously, there's people that are skeptical about using digital marketing. What would you say to those that are nervous about using some of your services, that maybe thinking, I might not get that return on my investment?
So I will copyright this sentence, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm the only one saying it. And I keep saying to people that there's no ROI before you try. There is simply no way that anybody can guarantee the return that you're going to get, because there are too many variables in this type of work. However, if you have previous activity that you've done, similar previous activity, and you have an idea of budget, or you have an idea of your actual conversion rate at the moment. So for business that are not direct online purchase, like with conversion rate, I'm talking about how many inquiries do you get usually in a month, and then out of those inquiries, how many you convert into a sale. So you need some percentages in there. So previous experience and previous data plus that kind of knowledge usually gives me an idea of whether advertising could potentially work. But that is also combined with, I have to do the research on the industry. I have to do the research on, is there enough people searching for that kind of thing? How much does it cost? Do they have the budget for it? Is the website ready for it? Are they missing something that's important? What is the tracking looking like? Because if I send traffic to your website and I try to get you inquiries, but I cannot track those things because tracking doesn't work, then I cannot prove that I've sent those inquiries to you. And therefore, you're not going to believe that I've done what I've done, which makes sense. But yeah, there are lots and lots of different components. But there are two different types of professionals in this industry. The ones that are professional and the ones that are quote unquote professionals. Because the actual professional should be able to tell you beforehand what you can expect and what is realistic to know and to not know, so that you are clear straight away that there are some limitations in what you can expect to get and what is possible and what is not possible. There's also the quote-unquote professional that tells you, yeah, no problem, I can do whatever you want. And that is their approach. They can always do whatever you want and they can always get you whatever you want. Clearly, that's not true. And clearly you are going to tell them after 2 or 3 months that you don't want to work with them anymore because you spent money and nothing happened. It is entirely possible that you are going to spend the money with a professional as well and nothing happens because of a series of reasons. Again, as I said, the website, the content, how much it costs, the price point, the USP, the unique selling proposition that is not clear. It could be lots of things, but at the very least, you need to be aware at the very beginning of what is possible and what is realistic. Because otherwise you're going to say that you spend money, nothing happened, digital marketing doesn't work, and therefore all digital marketing people are con men or something like that. Because it is not true, but I do get where they're coming from because I have worked with people like that myself.
There we go. Some great words of advice there. And I love that phrase you've used. No ROI before you try.
There's no ROI before you try.
You should copyright that. Absolutely.
I know, right? So, because somebody's going to steal it and it's going to be too late.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So well done on what you just said there and creating that phrase. Talk to me briefly before we come towards the end, Silvia. What about those that are on a limited budget? What could you do to help support those that have got a little bit of a budget, that are maybe starting out on their digital marketing journey? Is there something you can do to help them?
Yes. So on the low budget side, the most important thing is that you know that you have the right setup or you don't have the right setup to start advertising. So the cheapest option for you to start is to have 1 or 2 hours usually of consultancy time. Because in this time, I ask all the questions that I need to ask and get access to all the things that I need to get access to have a look at the data. And then I basically formulate an opinion as to whether you can and you should be advertising at this moment in time, or you cannot advertise at this moment in time, and this is the reason, or the reasons, because it could be more than one. And therefore, if you do want to advertise in the future, you need to fix X, Y, Z. And then maybe we can have a conversation. But before then, please don't do it, because the moment you start spending money is the moment you start wasting money. So I would recommend you don't even try. There are rules to this game. It's not just, I know that some people think this is very much, this dark art that you don't know, it's a bit like magic. I mean, there's no magic, there are no crystal balls. There are rules. And there are things that you can do to make sure that you give yourself the best possible chance of success with the money that you spend. And also, last but not least, there are businesses usually underestimate the money investment and the time that it takes for things to work. So if you ever come across somebody, or if you ever think like yourself, I will turn advertising on and I will make sales straight away. I'm not saying it's impossible, because I've seen companies do it, but they did that because they already had a solid setup. They had all these things in place. They had previous, successful sales through other channels. They had the right price. They were saying the right thing. They were fixing or answering with their service or product a specific problem. The conditions were right for them to make money from it. There are other businesses that don't have that. So when you talk to another business and they said, "Oh yeah, we've made profit in the first month," comparison is not possible, because your business is not their business and their business is not your business. Stop comparing yourself to other businesses, because the conditions will never be the same, at least not at this moment in time.
Yeah, some more great words there. Yeah, everybody is different. Everyone's walking a different walk, aren't they? And walking down a different path as well. So great words of
objectives.
Absolutely.
They've got different budgets. They've got a different internal structure. They offer different services. They focus on different USPs. So, you're going already. There's no comparison. So don't do it.
Good stuff. So, Silvia, we're coming towards the end. Great to speak to you. Got two final things to ask. Firstly, you've written a book. Do you want to tell us briefly about the book that you've written?
Yes. So the book is called "Are You Ready for Paid Ads?" Oh, guess what? Just what we've been talking up until this moment in time. I published it at the end of 2021. You would think, oh, that's a bit old. No, it's not old, because the book does not talk about how to do ads. The book talks about what you need to have in place for ads to work. And therefore, sure, there might be some slight differences. And if I had to rewrite the book a second edition, I would expand on those things. But those things that I wrote there still stand, and they're still applicable to this day. And it's just 90 pages. It's specifically for marketing directors or business owners or anybody who makes marketing decisions or decides on the budget. And it's that short because these people, if you are one of those people, I know you don't have time. And you got a lot of different things to do, and you cannot read War and Peace just to figure out if you should be spending some money on ads. So short and sweet and to the point. And it's on Amazon for basically the price of a coffee. So it's not even that expensive.
Yeah, well, I've got a copy. I haven't read it yet, I'm going to admit it, but I will read it and I will come back to you.
It's all right. I think you've got how many other books to read before that one?
Darn, I've got loads of books to read. I'm still educating myself. But listen, it's been great to talk to you. How can people get in contact with you if they want to talk to you about your services, though? What's the best way for them to contact you?
There are two ways. So one is my website, which is PaidAdsSchool.com. The second one is if you find me on LinkedIn. And do you want me to spell my name, like literally name spelling? Okay, so it's Silvia with an I, because I'm Italian, not Silvia with a Y, otherwise you're not going to find me. And my surname is Coletto, which is spelled Charlie, Oscar, Lima, Echo, Tango, Oscar. I should be the picture that comes on with a yellow background. So there's no other Silvia, actually. There are 7 Silvia Colettos on LinkedIn, but I'm the only one that's active, and I'm the only one with a yellow background and a red blazer. So you cannot mistake me for anybody else.
Brilliant. Well, have a look on LinkedIn for Silvia. Have a look at her website. It's PaidAdsSchool.com. Silvia, thanks for joining us. It's great to be able to talk to you. Keep up the good work. Keep supporting all those businesses out there that are looking for digital marketing services. And of course, if you are looking for Silvia's service, do get in contact with her and have a chat with her about what she can do to help you. But thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. Take care.